This is an abbreviated version of a talk I gave at two separate International Association for the Study of Dream conferences, and then I also gave to a select group of researchers at Harvard's Center for Sleep and Cognition at Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center here in Boston. The talk is an introduction to my theory of dreaming called emotional selection, which I published in my 2008 paper titled Dreams as Modifiers and Tests of Mental Schemas and Emotional Selection Hypothesis. There's a lot of technical information in the paper that I will not address in this talk. If you have questions, please refer to the paper or feel free to post a comment below, and I'd be happy to respond to it. To start the talk, I'd like to begin speaking anecdotally with the experience of a dream. For starters, we're almost always in our dreams, and furthermore, other people tend to be in our dreams as well. And we interact with the people in our dreams, and sometimes the interaction is pleasant. Other times, characters are introduced where the interaction is not so pleasant. Regardless, there's some scenario, commonly referred to as a dream scenario, that unfolds. And if we're lucky, the dream seems to resolve itself. And this is often referred to as mastering a dream. And so a lot of people have made this observation, and some researchers have used it to support their idea that dreams serve a function. And many theories have come about to describe what potential function dreams may be serving. And while the problem is that while some dreams seem to resolve themselves, or that we tend to master the dream, there's a lot of dreams that we have that we don't master, and rather than mastering the dream seems to master us. So other theorists have kind of jumped on this observation and said that dreams do not serve a function, and there's theories abound that describe how dreams are really just byproduct of other processes that occur during sleep. So where does my theory of emotional selection fall into this? My theory says that dreams serve a very important function, and as I will be discussing, the nice thing about my theory is that it describes not only the clearly functional dreams, but also those ones that don't appear to serve a function fit neatly into my theory as well. So the cocktail party description of my theory says that dreams modify understanding. And it's a overly simplistic definition, and it's not a particularly unique definition. There are a lot of previous theories that say that dreams modify understanding. What is unique or novel about my theory is that my theory says that dreams actually do not one but two things. The first is that they modify understanding. The second thing that they do is that they test the understanding that was previously modified. So again, this is a simplistic definition. Now I'm going to give my more jargony definition of emotional selection, which is that dreams modify and test mental schemas. And I'll be discussing mental schemas in the next slide. As I said, dreams, the theory says that there are two types of dreams. The type that modify, which happen during non-REM sleep, and then the type of dreams that test prior modifications, which happen during REM sleep. Anytime you talk about modifying and testing something, whether it's mental schemas or a jet engine, this is commonly referred to as a design process. And in this case, what we're talking about is that during sleep, the mind designs its mental schemas. So a mental schema is really quite a simple concept. It's a mental structure that holds a concept. And the idea has been around for a couple hundred years. And the nice thing about mental schemas is that it's really a cross-disciplinary definition, that it fits neatly into not only psychology and psychiatry, but also neurology and other sciences that deal with the brain. So all these folks like mental schemas, so it's easy to kind of talk about them with all the groups. So if you could map your mental schemas in your brain or in your mind, it looks something like this. It would be this big tangle of a network, and each node of the network is a concept. So you might have the concept of a ball, and you might have the concept of bounce and roll, and these schemas network together to form a more comprehensive understanding. And but not only do they model concrete ideas, but they also model less tangible ideas. And so if you could zoom in on a couple schemas, we'll find that schemas would also model our independence, ambitiousness, dependence, things like that. And one of the interesting things about schemas is not only that they can network together and agree with each other, but they can also directly conflict. For example, we have schemas that model our dependency that would conflict with schemas that model our independency, or our sense of being independent. And it may sound like dependency is a bad thing and independence is a good thing, but not if you're a small child. If children benefit from a sense of being dependent, and as you mature into adulthood, you gain a sense of independence. And even as an adult, you also we're also dependent on the people around us for safety and lots of things. So these schemas tend to conflict, and so the mind is constantly trying to strike the balance as to which to rely on and which to evolve. So that's our tangle of networks of schemas, which are complex. It's a huge network that abstracts physical and social worlds, and these are all interconnected. Schemas, as psychologists have known for decades, tend to be distorted. We all have a distorted idea of how popular, skillful, and competent we are. If we actually knew how unskilled and unpopular we really were, or we perceive this, we would actually be depressed. So a healthy mind has a distorted sense of who it is, and this is adds to the complexity of schemas. And as I discussed, there are internal conflicts as well. So not only is this network extremely complicated, it also amazingly evolves throughout our lifetime. A simulation is the process of when schemas can adequately describe what's going on around them. But when they can't describe it, they have the ability to morph and self-modify in order to learn. And that process is referred to as accommodation. And examples of this, as we discussed, is when children mature and our environments change as we experience new things, our schemas must morph to adapt to the environment. So we know schemas are complex and they evolve. So what can we say about all things that are complex that evolve? And I think we can safely say that without exception, that what drives evolution is what's commonly referred to as a design cycle, a cycle where a phase of modification is followed by a phase of testing. That's what Darwin just discovered in his theory of natural selection, that every generation varies in some important manner and then goes out into nature where it is tested. And those attributes that are beneficial are selected by nature, while those are not are culled. Engineers also use a design cycle referred to as iterative design when they design the complex systems that we use every day. And they have a phase of design followed by testing and analyzing. And so what I'm saying here today is that while we're sleeping, there's a design cycle that occurs of accommodation in which our mind modifies itself through non-REM dreams during which the schemas accommodate new information. But is that accommodation beneficial? For example, if we develop a new sense of independence, is that beneficial, or are we better off feeling dependent? So what the mind does is it enters REM sleep, where a REM dream test occurs.